You're listening to Female Founders with Claire Bartlett, the podcast that tells you what it is really like to be a female founder in today's world. We share invaluable insights through personal journeys and real-life business experiences, highlighting the highs and the lows so you can move forward in your business with ease. I am passionate to share with you the realities of business and give you the strategies and simple steps you need to truly succeed with your business. Today's episode is brought to you by Xero Accounting Software, a champion of female entrepreneurs and a proud sponsor of the Female Founders podcast. Managing your business finances can feel overwhelming, but Xero simplifies it all and gives you the power to keep your books in order and your mind on growth. Xero have offered an amazing 50% discount on your first 3 months with them. So if you'd like to take advantage of this amazing deal, just search refer.xero.com/female founders or follow the link in the show notes. Don't forget to give this show a follow to make sure you never miss an episode and share it with any incredible female founders you know. But for now, let's jump into this week's episode. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Female Founders podcast. I'm so happy to have you here with me. Now, today we're diving into one of those topics that can feel a bit, tricky. It's a bit heavy. Yep, we're talking about money. But don't worry, because I'm going to break it down in a way that feels really simple, manageable, and maybe even fun. I promise it's not as scary as it seems. But before we jump into that, I just need to say a huge thank you, because the countries that we are reaching with this podcast just continuously blow my mind. We now have listeners literally all over the world, in Japan, in China, in the US, all over Europe, in South Africa. And it just honestly blows my mind. It's such a privilege for me to be able to join you here every week and share these insights and this value with you. And I really hope that you continue to enjoy listening to this podcast and sharing your love with us. So get back to business. So you are maybe in your 30s, your 40s, you're running a business, but you're not quite hitting that dream income yet. This episode is 100% for you. Now listen, even if you're doing well, but you want to make more money or you want more clarity around your money, then stick with me, because this is going to be packed with real talk and useful tips. We're going to cover some really key things today. First, we'll get real about understanding your need amount versus your want amount. Then I'm going to explain why you shouldn't get distracted by all the 6-figure, 7-figure noise you see online, because it's not all it's cracked up to be. We'll also talk about how money isn't real as we think it is. I know, I'll explain later. We're going to dive into your business finances, understanding profit margins and knowing where your money's going. So grab a cuppa, get comfy, and let's do this. Let's start with something super important. Understanding the difference between your need amount and your want amount. These two figures are your foundation, the numbers that are going to give you so much clarity on your business and take away some of that overwhelm that we can feel. So your need amount is the bare minimum. This is the money you need to cover your essential expenses in life and in business. So we're talking about, your rent, your mortgage, your bills, your groceries, your kids' clubs, and then, of course, all of your business expenses. So again, any rent or your overheads that you have, your monthly costs going out of your business, your wages. It's the money that you need to survive and just to keep things ticking over. Now, this is a really interesting space, and it's such a great process to actually go through on a relatively regular basis. I remember I first did this about 6 years ago now. And I sat down and I said to my husband, right, we have no idea where all of our money is going every month. I really need a much clearer picture. So obviously we know certain costs, the mortgage and our utilities tend to not fluctuate. So you have a great handle on those things. But it was the grocery costs and the kids' clubs. How much are these actually costing us? So I sat down and said, right, I'm going to go through our bank statements for the last 3 months. I'm going to highlight every time we've spent money on food, for instance. And this is where it can get interesting because I know, on average, my weekly food shop is X amount. But what you forget about is all of the times you run to the local shop just to grab that extra, pint of milk, or you need that one ingredient to be able to do dinner, or you fancy a takeaway, or you go out for lunch. All of these things, all of these times that you're getting your card out and buying something when it's food or drink related, all goes into that, grocery shopping pot. And me and my husband both made a guess. We said, oh, we think it would be about this much per month. I was higher than my husband's. Well, we had the shock of our lives because actually it was over double what I thought, and I was higher than his. So it really was a massive eye opener for us. Actually, this is where all our money was going. We were, not shopping very sensibly. We weren't shopping at the cheapest supermarket. Um, we were eating convenience a lot. So it was really, really eye opening. And just by doing this process to understand our need amount actually made us reevaluate things and change how we were living. So instantly, the need amount was lowered because we were being more sensible. So once you know that number, once you can establish what your need amount is, it's like a massive weight gets lifted off your shoulders. Because instead of thinking, oh my God, I need to make all this money, actually you become focused on exactly what you need just to cover your bases. And you stop feeling like you're drowning in numbers. You get that control back. As long as you're hitting this number every month, everything will be okay. It's quite powerful to find out that number. Then you get to the fun bit, working out what your want amount is. And this is where we get to dream a little. Your want amount is what you would like to have once your needs are covered. Think about, holidays, those little treats, investing in your business or yourself perhaps. And this is really important. Your want amount needs to be something that you genuinely desire, not what the online world is telling you that you should want. I mean, sure, it wouldn't be lovely to have a six-figure income, but is that really what you want? Or do you want something more personal? Like just enough income to work fewer hours to spend time with a family? Or maybe it's financial freedom to travel more or to hire more team members. Whatever it is, it has to come from you and not from external pressures. So my challenge to you today is sit down, get honest with yourself and figure out what your need and want numbers are and write them down, get really clear on them. And when you know these figures, you'll stop chasing other people's financial goals and start focusing on your own. You'll be able to build really strong strategies of how you are going to make these things happen. And if you're not quite bringing in enough for that need amount right now, you have a figure that you can work towards, build really strong plans to achieve. But it's taking that fear out of you that you don't really know. You're flailing every month, not understanding exactly how much you need to bring in. Now you have an exact number and you can, work towards that and make it happen. So, as I've mentioned already, let's just get real for a minute here because we all have seen on Instagram that endless posts about hitting the six figures or the seven-figure businesses. Like it's the holy grail of business success. And, don't get me wrong. If that's what you want, amazing. Go for it. It's an amazing achievement to have a six or a seven-figure business. But just want to remind you that those numbers are often they're just one part of the story. And they often don't bring a certain lifestyle. You need to have the balance across everything. So here's the thing about flashy revenue numbers. They're usually talking about the revenue of the business, not the profit. And if you're not sure, the difference of the revenue and profit is the revenue is everything that your business brings in. It's the sales, which is awesome to have a six or seven figure business from a revenue perspective. But the profit is what matters. And the profit is the money that you are left with at the end of the month after you have spent everything you need for that business to run. So yes, you might be making £100,000 or even £1 million in sales. but how much are you actually keeping after all the expenses? Because it's so easy to get caught up in chasing these big figures and these dreams, and then realize that you've still got very little left in the bank after everything's paid for. It's so common. And letting you into a little secret here, when I see these people, some of these people online that just feel a little, disingenuous to me, I'll go and have a quick look on Companies House. I'll see what their accounts are saying, because so often people are shouting so loudly about having a 6 or 7 figure business. But when you look, they're bringing home really small amounts of profit. It's more of a lifestyle business than a hugely successful company. And I tend to find, I don't know here, but the louder that people shout about having a 6 or 7 figure business, to me, the less genuine that seems. So please don't fall for all of this online drama about this is what you need to achieve to really be successful. Because, your version of success might look completely different to that. And that is okay. Don't let someone else's financial goals become your own unless they truly align with what you are wanting from your life and your business. That's why it's so important to do that work with your need and your want, because then you know what it is that you are truly wanting to, work towards, and what success actually looks like to you. Okay. Now let's blow your mind for a second. Did you know that actually only around 8% of the world's money is in actual physical cash? That's crazy, right? The rest is just numbers on a screen. Doesn't exist. Money as we think we know it doesn't really exist. So when I say money isn't real, actually being kind of literal there. Most of the money that we talk about, and the money that we earn and spend and see in our bank accounts, it's just a digital representation. It's not stacks of notes sitting in a vault somewhere. The things that we see on movies doesn't really exist. And when you start to think of money like that, it can really change your perspective. It helps unlock so many of those money blocks, which I'll talk about in a minute. But it really, really helped me when I learned this. I read it in a book a few years ago, and I'm sorry I cannot remember which one, but it really helped me change my entire mindset around money. Because you realize that money is sort of more of an energy exchange. It flows in and out of your life and in and out of that digital representation, but there's always more of it circulating, and you're not necessarily competing for a limited resource. And once you get your head around that, you can release some of the fear around money and the trust that there is always more to come. And this is where it's really important to get down to the nitty gritty now, because it's important for you to understand your business finances, because this is the true numbers that you need to understand, not necessarily what just your bank account is portraying to you. But this is where the magic happens. And I know it can feel really overwhelming, but trust me, understanding these numbers will give you so much power in your business. So, first of all, let's talk about profit margins. It's not just about how much revenue you're bringing in, which I've spoken about earlier. That's how much sales you're making in your business. It's about how much of that revenue is left after you've covered all of your costs. The higher your profit margin, the more money you're keeping in your pocket at the end of the month. Now, profit margin is one of those terms that I think a lot of people aren't, they hear sometimes, but they never really want to ask what it means. It's literally how much profit you're making with every sale. It's so important to understand these profit margins, because this really is telling you how your business is performing. And this is where, I have to give a massive shout out to our sponsors, Xero, because if you're not already using this software, honestly, you need to go and give it a try. It is a massive game changer. They can give you real-time views of your cash flow and your profit margins and expenses. So you don't have to fly blind in this area of your business. It makes tracking those finances so much easier. And especially if you're not a numbers person. Now, I use Xero every day for all of my clients' businesses. And so I've seen firsthand how much of a difference it's made, helping my clients to understand how their business is truly performing. And I'll take you back a minute to where, yes, it's amazing to say that you have a six-figure business, but how is that actually transferring into profit margins? If you only have a 2% profit margin, you could be earning, a seven-figure business and it still isn't bringing in that much money for you. So profit margin is way more important than your actual revenue. Revenue is a real vanity. It's amazing to tell the world that you have a six-figure business or a seven-figure business. Doesn't that sound fantastic? It sounds like success, but it means absolutely nothing. It's the bottom line, it's the profit that really counts to see how successful you are and whether it's going to be able to provide you the life that you're wanting. And again, now tracking your expenses is really key. So going back to that process that we did at the beginning with the need amount, understanding where your money is going every month is really important. And it's equally as important in business as it is personally. Are there areas that you can cut back? So often I've had clients come to me and they've got direct debits that when I ask them what they are, they don't even know. It's something that they used years ago, that it's just a small amount. So it's just running every month and they've never really noticed. That you're literally throwing money away. So it's really important for you to review your expenditure. Make sure that the money that's going out, you are getting value for. And is there a cheaper, better solution out there? Keep an eye on your expenses to make sure that they are genuinely bringing you a return on that investment. One thing I'll tell all of my clients is to focus on profitable growth, not just revenue growth. What is the point of bringing in £100,000 if you're spending £95,000 of it? It doesn't make any sense. You need to make sure that you're keeping a really healthy margin so your business is actually profitable. So your turnover could stay at £100,000, but if you review your expenses and tidy it up, suddenly instead of only having £20,000 profit, you've got 30,000. It's not all about the revenue, the sales income for your business. It's just a tiny portion of that. Finally, before we wrap up, I just want to talk very briefly on money blocks and understanding your money block, because this is really important, especially in business, is to understand your mindset around money. We've all got beliefs about money that either help us or hurt us. And very often they're really deep rooted in our subconscious, so we don't even really know that they're there. And they so often have been bred from our childhood and our experiences when we were younger that we've then brought into our adult lives. So maybe you were brought up thinking money is really hard to come by. Or if you want more money, if you talk about money, then it makes you greedy. If you have to work really, really hard to earn a living and to make, ends meet. Money doesn't grow on trees. Have you ever heard of that one? I'm sure you have. Like, we all have these deep rooted opinions about money. And they're so often just being imprinted on us by the people that are around us. So our parents are really important roles to make sure that we have a healthy relationship and mindset around money. Because these beliefs, these negative beliefs, can really hold us back without even realizing it. So take a moment and reflect on how you genuinely feel about money. Is there something blocking you from reaching your financial goals? I know Lisa Johnson, for instance, who is a guest coming up on the podcast in a few weeks, she talks very openly about how she had real issues in the beginning with money mindset. And she had to do a lot of inner work to remove those blocks and understand it before she could successfully achieve a 6 and 7 figure business. If we don't believe that we deserve it or that it's possible for us to achieve those goals, then it's not, and I say this so often, if you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. And this comes down the same thing when it comes to your money blocks. If you have these negative connotations around money, wherever they have come from, they could be really holding you back. So ask yourself some of those difficult questions. How do you really feel about money? Is there something there that could be blocking you from reaching your financial goals? And if so, what can you do to start shifting that belief? Because honestly, you are absolutely worth earning what you desire. And there is no guilt or shame about desiring, higher income or whatever your level of success is. You've just got to understand what might be holding you back in this area. I have, I had huge money blocks in the past. I did not have the best relationship. I've spoken about this before. I didn't have a great relationship around money. I was brought up with sort of the belief my parents just didn't talk about it. It was just always there. So I didn't really believe that, you know, you had to work for it. They never told me how hard they worked. And now I know that they worked very hard. But at the time, it was just sort of on tap, I suppose. So when I went into my adult life, I ended up racking up huge amounts of debt because I didn't realize that, if you had a credit card, you had to pay it back. So I got myself into all sorts of trouble. And it wasn't that I wasn't working. I had 3 jobs at one point. My lifestyle outweighed my income. And I didn't have the understanding um, of why that wasn't a good thing. But what that did then when I faced up to it and I realized it, that actually created a massive money block for me that, I'm not very sensible around money. I can't be trusted with money, these sorts of thoughts. So that was limiting me on the success that I could see in my business because I thought, well, I can't handle loads of money coming into my business and a high turnover. It took me a long time to work through that. But because I did this work now, I understand that money is there for everybody and we all deserve to achieve whatever financial targets we set ourselves. And because honestly, it's not even real anyway. It's just a number on a computer screen. So we need to make sure that we don't attach so much weight to it, so much emotion to it, because I'm sure you've all heard people say that money does not buy you happiness. So don't think that building that 7-figure business will make you eternally happy. Because actually, from what I've seen in the world, quite often it's the complete opposite. So make sure that you set yourself meaningful goals, understanding your need amount, understanding that want amount, but making sure that it is attached to an emotion. Don't just pluck a figure out the air. Because if you have a tangible, goal that, yes, I want to take my family to Disneyland in Florida twice a year, that is going to cost this amount of money. So therefore, this is my want amount. Now I have an emotion attached to it. I really want to make that happen. Instead of me just saying, yeah, I want to earn 10 grand a month. Like, okay, but why? It's cold. I have no connection to that. So it doesn't give me that drive or that ambition necessarily to make it a reality. So, your money story is yours to write. You don't have to buy into the hype. It's not about that flashy 6-figure business. You need to create a financial success that works for you and your dream life. So whether that's 6 figures, 7 figures, or just enough to live the life that you truly want, own it, understand it, and work for it. So take some time this week to sit down and get clear on your numbers. Write out that need and want. If you're not tracking your finances already, make sure you give Xero or another accounting software a try, because I promise it will make a huge difference for you. And one last thing, if you've enjoyed this episode, please share it with a friend who might need to hear this too. Money, confidence is such a thing. There's so many business owners out there who are really putting a lot of pressure on themselves to hit those big financial goals, but not really understanding why. So let's help each other out and share the message. All right, that's it from me today. Thank you so much for joining me. I always love these chats. Remember, you've got everything you need inside you to create that life and the business you dream of. So just keep showing up, keep doing the work, and don't be afraid to make money your friend. Until next time, take care, stay confident, and keep making that magic happen. See you soon. I hope you you've enjoyed today's episode, which was brought to you by Xero Accounting Software, a champion of female entrepreneurs and a proud sponsor of the Female Founders podcast. If you're running a small business and you're dreaming big, then Xero is here to help make those dreams a reality. Xero is all about supporting women like you, who are not just running businesses, but are also changing the game. So whether you're just starting out or you're scaling up, join a global community of female founders who trust Xero to manage their finances efficiently. Just visit refer.xero.com/female founders to learn more. But for now, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and share this episode with all the incredible female founders you know. And together, let's change what it means to be a female founder in today's world.